Morning!
Morning!
Welcome to the India Explained podcast, recorded in London and San Francisco. One take, unscripted, no rehearsal. Hey Bunty, good morning. Yeah, it's still morning here in San Francisco. Welcome back. I hope you had a nice vacation in Calcutta. You visited for the pujas. And yeah, we had a little bit of a break, but I think we had enough episodes to keep us going. So yeah, let's jump into the big story right away. I saw the story last night on The Wire. And Rohini Singh, who used to be with the Economic Times, a very fine journalist, has done some path-breaking investigative work to show that Amit Shah's son has
Yeah,
benefited disproportionately from essentially Modi government rule. And
right.
his company has made a massive sum of money. It's got loans. The provenance of those loans is, dubious. But the striking figure for me is that between, I think, 2014-15 and the subsequent year, the company showed an increase in revenue from 80,000, sorry, 50,000 rupees to 80 crores, is it? So it's a 1.6 million% increase. So, long story short, the story on the wire is very detailed. Last night, their server was down. I think either there was a denial of service attack launched by, I'm guessing, the BJP's army of trolls, or there was just humongous traffic to the site. The story came up again since then. Very interestingly, this is a private citizen. He's the son of Amit Shah, who's the BJP president, now Rajya Sabha MP. I don't know if he can hold both posts. But Piyush Goyal, who's railway minister right now, is
Yep.
essentially he called a press conference, and this is a press conference that a BJP government minister is calling for a private citizen, and there's he has informed the world that a lawsuit will be filed, and a 100 crore lawsuit has been filed by Amit Shah's son against The Wire for defaming him. So I'll leave it at that, and would just let you take it from here.
Let's take it step by step, okay? So, Amit Shah's son, J. Amit Bhai Shah, J. Amit Bhai Shah, starts a company called Temple Enterprise Private Limited, right?
Right.
In 20. I think it's a curious name for a company, but for what it's worth, chalo. It's a Temple Enterprise Private Limited, and it goes into business, right? And I think in again running of the facts of the wire,
Hmm.
in 2014, 2015,
Hmm.
it showed a profit of 18,000 rupees
Hmm.
on revenue
Hmm.
of 50,000
Hmm.
rupees,
Hmm.
right? Um, and then give it another year,
Hmm.
next financial year,
Hmm.
the turnover jumps to 80.5 crores,
Hmm.
right? Now, I do not know what this guy was doing a business in,
Hmm.
right? But short of winning the lottery, because see, if he's in the business of winning lottery,
Hmm.
then probably something has happened. There's no problem if you win 5 bits of lottery and you kind of run that money through your company. That's good. But somebody who's doing business worth 50,000 rupees in 1 year
Hmm.
and doing business worth 80.5. Now, what will happen, Rohit, in the
Hmm.
slipstream of this discussion is the wire has put out a position saying that this guy
Hmm.
clearly has got money that's disproportionate or something nefarious has gone on. Could you please tell us? And it's standard practice in any democratic society. If you're related to public office or if you're related to a person who's in public office,
Hmm.
it is entirely legitimate for a journalist to ask you a question that, boss, given that you were earning 50,000 rupees last year, how did you manage to rock up with 80.5 crores?
Hmm.
If the answer is a few lottery tickets, then that's fine. I'm sure the wire will walk away. Now, so that's the first bit of the puzzle. There's this kind of spike in income. Now, and again, we have to be careful and saying that this is not new. This has happened with Vadra and another incident. This has happened with Hajar political families elsewhere.
Hmm.
What makes this interesting is the BJP has always crafted the central narrative that we are not like them. We are different,
Hmm. Hmm.
and the way we operate in public life has a certain semblance of morals which the others don't. So
Hmm.
that's what's at stake here.
Right.
So the next bit that you just mentioned, that this Goel chap, who's the railways minister, kind of doing this classic chamchagiri maneuver and saying that, why are people asking questions about this? In fact, because you've asked a question,
Hmm.
I'm going to sue you for defamation. That
Hmm.
Amit Shah's son's going to come at you for defamation,
Hmm.
for 100 crores, right?
Hmm.
Um, I just think that this is a really odd way of treating journalists in a free society, because if these guys have nothing to fear,
Hmm,
then all that needs to happen, it's common sense. What we're saying is not rocket science. All that needs to happen is a two-page statement that says that Temple Enterprises Private Limited, on that leaflet, on the stamp paper or the company stationery, a statement issued that we categorically deny
hmm,
the numbers that have been posted and attributed to us as a company.
hmm,
There has been misrepresentation of information. This is not true.
hmm.
Right? Simple. You could just put it to bed by saying that what is being said by the wire is not correct. Right?
Right, right,
Why? So because I'm thinking, if you can't do that, then why are you chasing the defamation angle? Because
right.
clearly, are you saying, because if you told me that this is not correct,
Hmm, hmm,
then follow it up by saying this is not correct,
hmm,
this is what is correct, here's the correct version, from 50,000 rupees it became 1 lakh rupees,
hmm.
which is completely understandable, and on the back of that I'm going to sue you for defamation.
Okay.
Entirely plausible.
So,
That's a good chain of events.
right.
But this is what we don't understand, that somebody said that you've got disproportionate asset. Why are you straight away jumping to defamation
It's
without
a
actually rebuttal?
right. So defamation is this is a well-worn tactic in the Indian context. And I remember some time ago an Indian journalist, very well-known senior journalist, and occasionally he chats with me on Twitter through direct message. Actually mentioned something about the fact that these are just routine things that corporations as well as politicians do to just harass journalists. I know that a journalist who was the now the former editor of the EPW, Paranjoy Gua Thakur, he has a lot of these notices he gets. Initially, what you get is not a legal statement itself, some kind of legal document. Initially, what you get is what is an intent to sue, which is that if you don't, take this off, if you don't retract, then we will go ahead and sue. Now, whether the wire has been sent a legal case yet, a document yet, or has been sued, I guess not. I think that this is, some one step before that. But just to get ahead, just to sort of backtrack a little bit, I want to just share here a thread by an Indian constitutional lawyer, Gautam Bhatia. He's written a fantastic book on free speech in India called Offend, Shock, and Disturb. And he put forth a couple of observations which I think speak to the points you raise and actually converge with them and sort of reinforce what you're saying. The first is that, you know, the idea, yesterday Jay Shah made a statement that he will file civil and criminal defamation suits, cases against the wire. Said nowhere are they disagreeing with the statements, right? So they don't accuse, in Gautam's own words, they don't accuse Shah doesn't accuse Rohini Singh of having made verifiably, false statements. Now, he goes on to argue that what he's doing is he's accusing Rohini Singh of innuendo, which is that um, putting all these facts together, Shah is making the case that Rohini Singh is implying that he benefited from his father's connections, he benefited economically. And the thing is that you can be liable under civil defamation law, you can be liable for innuendo slash imputation. This is Gautam again. But there is also a strong defense, he says, called quote unquote fair comment. Uh, Fair comment is a slightly misleading term. It doesn't mean that the court has to analyze whether a comment is objectively fair. Rather, what the court is supposed to do is to say that given these facts, given that you have A, B, C, D, E, is it possible to draw an inference that Jayasha benefited from the from the association in question? Two other contextual points. Gautam says that everywhere the world over, courts have actually been strengthening fair defense. And secondly, for the defamation case to go through, the burden is going to be pretty high on the on Jay Shah's lawyer to prove that Rohini Singh and the Wire deliberately drew this inference in a very malicious way, which is a very high standard. Now he
Right.
ends with a caveat, which is that he said, "Look, I'm not saying anything about how this particular case will actually turn out, but just sharing these facts." And we have to know that in India, the dice is loaded against, the small guy, so to speak. We have very courageous journalists. Uh, Even when our politicians crack down on the press, I mean, I think they don't completely muzzle it, but this government seems to have been a little bit of an exception in that regard. Shah himself is Shah Senior is a very nasty character. In the last elections, out of he had the maximum number of cases and I think collectively the worst out of any candidate running. And in this euphoria about the BJP and Modi and Vikas and Swachh Bharat and Achhe Din and 15 lakhs, there's a deliberate amnesia that our commentariat has engaged in, based on which we've sort of put the question of Shah's very unsavory record, serious allegations of having, been involved in the murders of a couple of people. Uh, the High Court has also wrapped the CBI, for just dropping the case after Modi came to power. So we've just set all of that aside. So I think that's where the other connection that I would draw, that there is a kind of like, history of criminality in the family, allegedly. And in terms of if we were to think of a pattern, none of this seems to me to be particularly surprising.
I want to work in Temple Enterprises Limited, Rohit. I think it is a good company to work in because they are going through a phenomenal period of growth.
Uh,
As you mentioned, a stupendous percentage
huh,
jump in growth. And
yeah,
as a simple employee in that company,
yeah.
or I could at least be poised for like
Mm,
very very good levels of bonus because I think uh, the Shah family is good at business,
yeah.
and clearly if they've done something as miraculous as what this report suggests. I just while you were talking, I just pulled up the letter that the lawyer, text response of J. Amit Shah's lawyer to the wire's questions,
Mm,
which the wire had just put out. I don't want to go into that in detail, but I just want to highlight for our listeners that this company was engaged in the business of import and export of agri commodities
mm,
like rapeseed, castor, DOC meal. I don't know what that means. Desi chana, soybean, coriander seeds, rice, wheat, maize, etc.
mm,
Now, clearly, what we want to signal to our listeners is in the event they think that IT, software, all of this
mm,
nonsense is a money making route, you are mistaken.
mm,
The money, true money,
mm,
is to be found in agricultural import export.
mm,
It also goes on to note that Jaysha is a qualified engineer.
mm,
Right. So this again panders to the stereotype that in
mm,
India to be successful you have to be
mm,
an engineer. Neither of us being engineers
mm,
are quite rightly failures in foreign lands.
mm,
But in India, if you don't have a BTech, and he had BTech from the renowned Nirma University,
mm.
at last shout, I think this was washing powder, but
Renowned.
things yeah, it's a renowned Nirma University, but this is the lawyer drafting it. So
Mm,
he's kind of brown nosing this, and obviously it goes on to make a lot of technical observations around how this money is
mm,
legitimately part of this business, and it's for the legal experts
mm,
that I think all we signal to our readers is
mm.
Amit Shah's son is a phenomenal businessman. He's grown a company by leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
We
which
know where we need to work in the
I know.
future if you want to design. And
Mm,
the other point is clearly agricultural produce is the future.
mm.
And Rohit, we
Yeah,
need to be serious about
very,
this.
very
If we want to
serious.
make
Yeah.
serious money,
Uh,
let's go dal, chana, and all of this
yeah,
because clearly we are in the wrong line, boss.
yeah.
This is a miracle.
I
That's
didn't know
all we want to say.
Nirma
Anything else you want to add?
University. No, I mean the Nirma University. Like, forget renowned. Let's table that for a second. But like,
Yeah.
I had never heard of Nirma University. This is that same one that had that washing powder. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The note says that he's from renowned BTech from Nirma University.
Hmm.
Nirma washing powder was a very famous washing powder, and there was this swirling girl in the ad. You
I know.
remember
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
washing
yeah.
powder Nirma,
Yeah,
something like that. And so I didn't know they had a university.
yeah. Well,
But
yeah. We should we do another episode on that actually about these private universities. But yeah, so Amit Shah, we thank Jay Shah for like really I think reviving our faith in agriculture, because the sort of convention has been that we have to move to being a post-industrialized society, move people
correct,
away from
correct.
agriculture, mechanize, industrialize, automate, etc. But Amit Shah has shown that agriculture
That
is
is wrong.
vibrant. It's
That's
very
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah,
Agriculture
yeah.
can be very vibrant and and great, like in times of unemployment, to counter the effects of demonetization. Maybe he can hire everyone.
The other thing that I wanted to say, Rohit, do you remember at one point in time there was this song called Hawa Hawaii?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
that there was a Tapuri song called Hawa Hawaii. Now the other
Mr.
thing I
India, the
wanted to
film Mr. India. Yeah.
Mr. India, yeah. So the other thing that these guys did was they took a loan. This company took a loan
Uh,
from an organization called IREDA. Not sure of the full form, but that's not the
uh,
point.
uh.
to do wind energy, so hawa,
Uh, uh,
right? So at the by industry standards,
uh,
it took loan for 14.3 crores.
mm,
Now, boss, what I am saying is you guys have to make up your mind. Are you in the agri business or in the wind business?
mm,
Because in my mind, there are two separate businesses, right?
mm,
The other thing I'm learning by this whole episode, as things come to light,
mm,
is Amit Shah's son from Nirma University is a very talented brain, because not
mm,
only can he do dal chana,
mm.
he can also do wind energy,
I know.
right? So I think if in the next 6 to 12 months, if this guy
Mm,
rocks up with some kind of space enterprise, India going to
mm,
Mars, and he's selling the rockets, we
mm.
shouldn't be surprised, Rohit,
Shouldn't
because
be surprised at all. Yeah.
this wind energy, he's also dabbling in wind energy.
He's a
Plus, he's got a finance company. So
polymath. Yeah.
yeah, so he pulls in so many different directions.
Yeah. Really.
As I said, it'll be brilliant to work with this guy, to hook up with this guy,
Yeah.
and share in his success, because this is extraordinary success.
Yeah. Well, on that note, and maybe he should be the next RBI governor or the next finance minister. And I believe, Warren Buffett is on his way to get some, lessons from him, and I'm sure he'll be invited to Davos. So more power to him, and we hope all of this sorts itself out. But we'll be keeping an eye on this story, and we may well do a follow-up. Okay. All right, Bunty, let's wrap this up on that note. Be back in a
All right,
jiffy.
take it.
Take care, man.
Chalo, okay,
Bye.
take it. Bye 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 bye.